All right, our next guest is Chris Bartlett. He has worked on a bunch of Star Wars stuff. Nice to meet you.
Yeah,
Thank you
hi.
for stopping by.
Hi, nice to meet you.
You want to go into a little bit more detail about what you've done?
Oh, well, thanks for coming, you guys. Let's see, for the last 20 years I've been playing C-3PO for Lucasfilm. And then I've gone on to play all the droids on the new shows, on The Mandalorian and Obi-Wan Kenobi and Ahsoka and the Book of Boba Fett, among other projects.
That's it? I'm kidding. So obviously Star Wars is absolutely huge, and it was probably more so like when you started doing it, did you feel like a lot of extra pressure to get it right when you did it, or were you just like, oh, I got this, no problem?
Oh gosh, no, of course. My first role was C-3PO, and so the audition was mostly a movement audition, and but I wanted to nail that audition, as you can imagine. So I had been working on the voice, in the car on the way to work, every day, and yeah. So I did my little movement. I walked around. I'd watched every bit of footage that I could find of Anthony Daniels and playing the character, and then I did my thing, and I turned to them with the lights on and said, "Oh, my goodness, why hello, I am C-3PO, Human Cyborg Relations. This is my counterpart, R2-D2. I am fluent in over 6 million. They're like, okay, that's enough. We're gonna send you to Australia. You're gonna do this thing. I thought it was just a one-time thing, but it turned out every live-action appearance of C-3PO on television or in the media during the past 20 years has been me.
That's so awesome. How much like notice did you get before the interview? Like, how much time did you have to practice the voice?
Well, I was doing it for myself, just because I'm a nerd. I thought it would be fun to see if I could do it, and my voice is kind of in that range. And anyway, so I don't know, 3 years, and then, but I didn't know they're gonna call me.
Right.
I was just doing it because I wanted to come to conventions and play characters for real, and interact with people and improv and do the voice and stuff for different characters. I was doing like Stormtroopers and Boba Fett and all that. So how much time to have to prepare? I don't know, 30 years. I grew up with Star Wars.
Just happened to line up right, huh?
It really did, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Has that been your favorite character you've done? And if it has, like, I guess, what are some other standouts that you really like doing?
C-3PO is the one that I have done the longest, and obviously the most well-known. But my favorite character to play is Q90. He flies Mando's ship, and Mando doesn't like that. He has the bug eyes, bounty hunter droid. We break into Twi'lek out of prison. But anyway, what I love about Zero is I could make him my own. I got to come up with the layers as an actor of, he looks like a bug. He's a bounty hunter. He's a cold killing machine. He's a pilot. He's the smartest guy on the crew. That was fun to come up with all those. But I got to fly a ship in Star Wars. I grew up, as a little kid, I had my cardboard refrigerator box that I cut into a spaceship, and with all the fun challenges as an actor to put into a character, flying the ship was the best day of my career.
Sure.
So, plus I got a great death. I got to work with Grogu for the first time, and yeah.
Is it pretty impressive working with like that kind of puppeteering? Like, I hear that puppet is just crazy cool.
Yeah, because he's practical, and I never worked with him as a digital, pair of tennis balls, as they say. He was always there, and he's about this tall. And if you're on set, you want to go talk to him. So I walk over to him, and I'm like, hey, Grogu, can I get you something to eat? And he like looks up at me like this, and his eyes blink and his ears go up, and that's because the puppeteers are sitting right over there, and they're waiting for the next scene, but they see someone who wants to play, so they go right to work, and man, it's just really magical.
Have you ever had the puppeteers do something that wasn't quite Grogu-like as a joke, maybe?
No.
No, they're always pretty well behaved with him?
No, yeah, they're well behaved.
Yeah. So obviously you were a Star Wars fan as a kid. What was your first experience? Like, what movie did you see first?
Yeah, 1977. I was 7, and I was in the theater it was just Star Wars. There was no other chapter or other names, and that was it. you go home and you get the save up your money and get the action figures, and you start making stories in your own living room. You know, we all did that because there was no promise of a sequel. So that really ignited my imagination. I wasn't well-to-do enough to get all the play sets and all that stuff, but just, you know, what figures I could afford, and so, you know, everybody had Luke and Darth Vader, but, you know, what about Snaggletooth and R5-D4? You know, like, what's the story there? Did they go off on adventures and fly ships or whatever? Anyway, that was my whole childhood was imagining a world in Star Wars that we didn't see on the screen.
Yeah, this is the best kind of world, right?
Yeah.
Like, you knew anything you want. Are you a gamer at all, or are you just strictly a Star Wars guy?
Well, listen, we as actors, we often have to have day jobs, and my day job has been in games for 25 years. So I worked on the first 4 Gears of War games, the Tomb Raider reboots, several Star Wars projects, you know, more notably even Fortnite, and I was a director level on Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Warzone. So yeah, I think of myself as a casual gamer. Pinball machines are my favorite games, but yeah, as a casual gamer, I played a ton of stuff, and then got to work on all this stuff. But yeah, I actually, this isn't an answer to your question, but Stern Pinball last year launched Fall of the Empire, which is their newest Star Wars pinball game, and it's hosted by C-3PO, and I'm doing the voice for C-3PO for that.
Yeah, and it's here too. If you haven't played it,
Yeah.
like, check it out. It's awesome.
Yeah, and there's funny phrases he says, you know, like, oh my goodness, the Sarlacc pit is open. Oh dear, you know, oh my, you know, and there was 460 lines to record for that, and you know, a lot of those are not canned lines that you can pull from the movie. You have to make them, you know, feel in character as C-3PO and sound like him. But yeah, anyway, yeah.
Do you want to go into a little bit more detail about, like, what you did on the Call of Duty, like, Warzone thing?
Yeah, so I'm what's called the UX director, so user experience. I started out as a Gears of War, love it, nice. I started out as a graphic designer in games, where I was designing all the heads-up displays and the targeting reticles and the storefronts and the way that the game communicates to the player, and that sort of evolved into the user experience, where I'm still over all that stuff, but also need to make the game fun, and you know, make it so you can understand it in the first 3 minutes, and you're not rage quitting, and you come back every day after school and play. So that was my role. But yeah, Call of Duty Modern Warfare specifically, I had to, we wanted to broaden the audience because it was mostly hardcore Call of Duty players. And my job was to make it, you know, casual players wouldn't play because they would jump in and they'd be dead in 0.2 seconds, you know? So my job was to bring in casual players without alienating hardcore players. And so we had some very specific things that I suggested in the design. So we had to try a lot of stuff. And that's challenging because there's people that have been working on Call of Duty for 10 years. And they're like, this is how we do it. And I'm like, we got to try something new, you know. And it turned out to be the most profitable Call of Duty ever. You know? And
it's
I
stuff
love
like,
it. I love playing it. Yeah.
I guess it's stuff I never thought about too. Like, you know, if the menus are clunky or they don't look good or they're hard to navigate, it's going to turn you off before you even get into the game.
Yeah, my philosophy was I want the player to get to the fun in 3 clicks or less. So click, click, boom, we should be in playing. Not massive menus or not walking around talking to, you know, other characters before you get into the fun. The other thing is, it should be so easy to pick up the basics of the game that your mom could understand it. And that was one of my philosophies too. I never got my mom into the Call of Duty office, but that was the idea. Was it needs to be simple enough to pick up, and then people can decide whether they are having fun or not. Yeah, so that was part of my role. Also, to build a team, the UI team I built for Call of Duty, and so it was, yeah, a ton of fun.
Yeah, awesome.
A lot of work, but yeah.
What did you do on Gears? Like, what are some things?
Yeah, Gears of War, I was the UI guy, but also, since I worked on the first 4 Gears games, I designed all of the collectibles, so everything you could find in the world, where you walk into a room and there's a little flash over there on the floor and you go look at it. I had to design what that looks like, what the item looked like. Sometimes I was building it, sometimes I'd build a practical prop, you know, in real life and show it to the modeler, and then he would model it, and then I would texture it. But yeah, or doing all the book covers, and then also I would go through the environment, and it looked like a place that nobody lives in, you know, no humans. And so my job was to populate the whole environment with posters and graffiti, and so I created all that stuff too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the heads-up displays and targeting reticles for all that stuff. Yeah.
Is there ever like a game or a movie or a show you've watched and you're like, man, I could really do something with that, or something that you ever wanted to work on that you haven't yet?
Oh, a movie or a show?
Sure.
For UI stuff?
Yeah,
Or as an
anything.
yeah. Well, it's funny, things in movies, UI, user interface in movies don't have to function. They're like a character in the scene. They just need to say, oh, there's danger out here, or this engine's overheating, you know. It doesn't have to be specifically. In games, it has to be, the player needs to understand what the game is trying to communicate to them. So it's very, very different, but I watch tons of movies with UI. I mean, you know, Star Wars, the Luke's binoculars, or the, you know, on Hoth, whereas, you know, all that stuff, I studied all that stuff, and so many, you know, Pacific Rim goes bananas with UI, and gosh, so many. Ender's Game is a great movie for UI too, but yeah, what would I like to, I'd love to do that for movies, but I'd also like to play a character in these kind of films, so. Yeah, I love acting so much because I love the challenge of creating the layers for each character. So people ask, what kind of movie would you like to be in? And I'm like, I love every next new character. I grew up with sci-fi, but I'd love to be in a Western or a biker movie, or, you know.
Sure.
I'd love to play a bad guy, you know. So I just love the challenge of acting.
Is it more rewarding to like build a character from the ground up that has never been done before, or to have your own personal take on a character that's been around?
Yeah, good question. There are different challenges. One is to try and seamlessly, like with 3PO, to seamlessly you know, do the movement and the voice, but also the mannerisms and how he would be in every situation, to try and make that as seamlessly similar to the Anthony Daniels original. You know, building a character from the ground up is a great challenge. Like I mentioned with Q90 as an example, I looked at him. He looks kind of like a praying mantis, so I went and studied praying mantis videos, which are terrifying if you've ever done that. I learned a praying mantis perched on a little leaf can reach out and grab a flying hummingbird out of the air and eat it alive. So I took that, I'm like, oh, if I'm thinking of Zero as a praying mantis, he's a predator that people underestimate. And so in all of his actions, you know, he moves like a bug, but also he gets a little too close to people and he's trying to convince them that he's the smartest, you know. My response time is quicker than organics, and I'm smarter too. Things like that. And yeah, I love making that character sandwich of all those things that are really unique. You know, because someone might go, oh, he's a bounty hunter, he's a robot, I'll move like a robot, you know. You know, that's okay, but I've been doing this for 28 years, and I've learned over the years that how much fun it is to make it really your own and put on the screen what you want to see.
Sure.
You know, like if he's a cold killing machine, I want to see him move like this. You know, we do this cool thing every day when a new character is on set, where we do all the licensing photos. So what we do is we go into this little photo shoot area, and we do the 8-point turn, you know, for the action figure, you know, like that. And then they go, okay, let's see some character shots, and you get to come up with what you want to see on the toy package.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I'm like, you know, right, you know, I'm doing all the stuff I would want to see as a kid on the toy. So, and then those come out on the toy on the action figure. So, gosh, it's so much fun.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you so much for stopping by. It was a
thanks for
pleasure to
having
meet
me.
you.
Appreciate it.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
All right. And may the force be with you. R2-D2, is that you? My goodness.
Thank you.